this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. New information has come out regarding the fact that I think it's 5 Secret Service individuals have been put on administrative leave, including one of the people in the detail of Donald Trump, or former President Donald J. Trump. So here is a BBC article. It says at least 5 U.S. Secret Service agents have been placed on administrative leave following the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Pennsylvania. They include the head of the Pittsburgh field office that coordinated security with local police, 3 other agents in the same office, and a member of Trump's personal detail, according to BBC U.S. news partner CBS. Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, was injured in the right ear by a bullet fired from a roof by Thomas Crooks. Yeah, I mean, he actually was hit by a bullet. You wouldn't know that if you listened to Christopher Wray, who just wasn't sure, even though everybody else was. Then we also have, Fox News discussing it. At least 5 members of U.S. Secret Service have been placed on administrative leave following the July 13th assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1 member of Trump's personal protective team and 4 members of the Secret Service Pittsburgh field office, including the special agent in charge, have been sidelined nearly 6 weeks after the incident. The 5 are still employed but are teleworking and are no longer allowed in the field. They cannot do any investigative work. The news comes after the Secret Service concluded internal interviews to understand how Thomas Matthew Crooks was able to fire several shots from the AGR building in Butler. The Secret Service was not able to conduct the interviews right away because the FBI was interviewing them for a separate criminal investigation, according to a source briefed on both probes. Separately, Senator John Hawley, Republican from Missouri, on Friday revealed that a Secret Service whistleblower had come forward to claim that officials at Secret Service headquarters encouraged agents in charge of the rally not to request any extra security assets in their formal planning request. And that's where people start wondering about a higher up level conspiracy, where you have a dangerous setup where the media, along with the Democratic politicians, put out a narrative against former President Trump, calling him worse than Hitler, that he's a threat to democracy, when in reality, if you look at it, the Democrats are the ones that subverted democracy and just appointed Kamala into the presidency nomination. I mean, it was an absolute ridiculous event, but nevertheless, in this situation, you have the media and the politicians painting this narrative, which made it a dangerous environment for Donald Trump. And then you wonder how many situations where Trump was speaking at rallies was it incredibly dangerous. He just got lucky that there wasn't a Thomas Crooks in that location who was willing and ready to go do what he did. And I think, as I've said before, that the Secret Service would have graded themselves an A here. They would have given themselves an A for absolute sure. And they would have just made it look like it was just a normal day, that everything was just absolutely, completely normal, and there was nothing to see here, and it just would have been, you guys did great, except there was a Thomas Crooks who exploited the vulnerabilities that were probably prevalent in all of Donald Trump's rallies recently, making it very dangerous for him. And when you see something like that, they encourage them not to ask for extra support. What the hell does that even mean? 1 bullet grazed Trump's right ear while firefighter Corey Comparatore was fatally struck. Rallygoers James Copenhaver and David Dutch were also shot and injured. Former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned less than 2 weeks after the shooting and after giving her initial testimony about the event before members of Congress. Various lawmakers have called on Secret Service to make personnel changes and fire employees in the wake of the deadly incident. And that was just an absolute joke. When Kimberly Cheadle spoke in front of Congress, she seemed absolutely unprepared, and you can see why, if her personality sort of seeped down into the rank and file members of the Secret Service, why they were the way they were. Now, hopefully there's things being put in place to increase their awareness and what the hell's going on. And the reason I say that is, so this is on Right Side Broadcasting. They recorded 10 hours of video that day, and if there's anybody out there that want to go look, you can go look at all the rally. They even do walk in the same locations that Thomas Crooks was walking in that new video. For example, I went back to try to figure out where Thomas Crooks was, and by doing that, 25 minutes and 22 seconds into the right side broadcasting of the event, they're right in this location. Then 41 minutes, they're standing over here. Thomas Crooks was right here when he was spotted. Then at 1:10:37 in the video, right side broadcasting is here. Now, when Thomas Crooks was there in this location, it was about 4 hours after RSBN was there, but I used their footage to figure out where Thomas Crooks was. And then at 1:27, right side broadcasting made it to here. Then they were here at 1:35, and then at this point, you were sort of making your way to where the stands are. And this is the area like where the magnetometers were in these locations, and this is where everybody was sort of funneled into this large field, and they filled this entire area here at the rally. And let's listen to how this went down just from this one audio itself. It's kind of low, but you can probably hear it.
That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of...
By the way, how many of you have this entire sequence memorized, what Trump is saying? I mean, it's just, I've heard it like 75,000 times at this point.
Border Patrol, take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then...
By the way, you can see the water tower up here for the people who still think something, and there isn't a soul up there.
And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
So you could hear 9 of the shots. The one that's hard to hear is the SWAT sniper who shot and hit Thomas Crooks's rifle stock. Okay, that one's hard to hear on this audio, but you hear that's the final shot that takes out Crooks. So let's just play that little portion again. It's like right here.
Amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
See, that's the other, somebody screams because there's more gunshot. Actually, that time I think I could hear it. It's a totally different sound than Thomas Crooks. His 5 shots, and right after that, there's another sound that also has the echoey sound, but isn't the same. So I think I finally could hear it on that one. Now let's continue to listen to this, because I think that the person who got fired that was on his detail is likely the woman who yelled, "What do we do? What do we do?" Because that makes the Secret Service look absolutely inept at that point. What do you mean, what do we do? This is stuff you guys are supposed to be trained on. Listen. I might have been quiet there.
Take a look at what happened.
Let's see if we can hear it this time. Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I think that's the same one that was maybe struggling putting the gun in her holster. You know, that never really bothered me that much, because it seemed like she wasn't sure if she was going to be putting it back in the holster or still holding it. And, you know, but the look just isn't good. You can't have your Secret Service agent saying, "What are we doing?" Right? I mean, that's pure insanity. Yeah, so it's right here is where that shooting is. And, you know, we've gone over this a million times, but Crooks was right there on top of the AGR building, shot 5 times, narrowly missing Trump on 3 shots. It actually grazed his ear on one of the bullets. And then Corey Comparatori was killed right over there. I think that was one of his 5 volleys where it was a little bit offline. But, you know, I don't know. You know, that's my guess. There's other people that think differently than that. This is where the sniper on the southern roof was, who shot Crooks, who was right over there. And one of the things that just came out recently that's really disturbing is that they had communications were provided by the local police that the Secret Service were supposed to be using. And I think this is where the leadership of the local Secret Service branch, that's why they're in trouble. Because they were given the opportunity to use communications to communicate with everybody at the same time, and they didn't pick it up. It was even available and explained to them, and they didn't pick it up. And it turns out that communications is the biggest problem in this case. Wouldn't you guys all agree that if you know, it comes down to it, the communication was just god awful. I mean, some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard, especially like I said on my last video, the texting back and forth. Hey, look at this weirdo. Yeah. Hey, that's great. Hey, what's he doing now? Yeah. Why doesn't somebody get the hell out of their seat, walk down, and talk to him? Then you can maybe gauge the person and perhaps even say, hey, what's in your backpack, etc. Maybe he didn't have his backpack with him at that point. You know, it's really interesting. We have one sniper also that is looking out this window here and sees Thomas Crooks sitting on a picnic table that was in this location, and then sees him go around like this. But he thought, oh, that's just him going around the building, and he's likely headed over towards this gas station over here. So then everybody started looking over here. But though he put his backpack, I think, back in this area, perhaps hidden behind some of these different air conditioning units, etc. But I think he would have put it way back here behind something, but you wouldn't want it to just be visible if somebody peered their eyes back there. So maybe he put his backpack in this area at some point, and then he throws it up onto the roof, climbs up, obviously climbs up right there, comes around, and then picks up that backpack. Maybe it was over on top of this roof. You know, during that time, maybe he came over here, put his backpack on this portion of the bridge here, then he climbs up over there, and then when he comes down, he grabs that first, and then you see him throw the backpack up onto the roof here, then run in this direction, making his way over here, and then eventually he's lying in this position, 20 flats over, and then 4 flats over in this direction is where his AR-15 was found, and in the same flat area was his backpack down near the bottom. And then it was just like Mickey Mouse stuff. Then you have the local police seemed to be aware that there was something going on, but imagine if the snipers from the Secret Service were in communication with these same police officers real time, and they could be helping them, looking over there. They probably could have spotted the person on the roof. It wasn't until, like this guy, there was an officer walking over here. We've seen that video where you see Crooks way in the distance, throw the backpack up, start running this way. There was also 2 officers in vehicles. They saw him on the roof, and that was quite a bit before the shooting. In fact, the officer goes up on the roof, comes down, and he's on the ground 37 seconds before the shooting even happened. That's, you know, he drops off the roof, and that's 37 seconds. So if they were all in communications, the Secret Service would have taken Trump off the stage, you think, if you had heard, hey, there's somebody on the roof over there, he's got a gun. Because for 37 seconds before the shooting, law enforcement knew that the individual on the roof had a gun. Secret Service, because there was no communication with them, did not know that. The SWAT team likely heard that because they're part of the local team, and that's why the sniper on the ground, the SWAT operator, he shot up and hit the stock of the gun like right away. It was like ding, 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 and then ding, 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 and then shh. So he got a shot off within 6 seconds of the initial shot. He probably had heard that there were gunfire, but he had to go look up and find the person, and he got that shot out. Now, that's about when the Secret Service would realize that there's actual shooting going on because they hear it. You actually see the Secret Service snipers that are on this roof in one of the videos completely adjust what they were doing when they heard it. They tried to turn in this direction, but were completely stymied by this tree. These Secret Service snipers had been looking this direction, but 2 minutes prior, when they heard that there was a situation going on over by the AGR building, they turned this direction, and they didn't know that there was a gun either. They didn't know until there was actual firing going on. So I think it's absolutely incredible that in a 15-second period of time that these snipers were able to hear the sound, look around, find the shooter on that roof, and take him out. The hero, however, is the SWAT shooter who likely made it so that Thomas Crooks couldn't fire, or was freaking out at that point after his gun was hit by that sniper. And man, this is just the more you look at it, the more of shit show, for a lack of a better term, this entire situation was at the time. The investigation's been ridiculous. How come we, as the public, do not know currently if the van that was found on a side street, which was right over here on this street, it was parked right there, that was towed away, how come we don't know? We haven't heard anything about that. And we still don't know where Thomas Crooks' vehicle was parked. Isn't that one of the first questions that you'd want to know just as a curious person? Where was Thomas Crooks' vehicle parked? It's mind-boggling how those types of things are not answered. A lot of the other stuff has answers now. We know that Thomas Crooks took the 8 shots. We know that there was 3 controlled shots, 5 quick shots, then a SWAT sniper shot up, hit his gun, then the Hercules snipers from the Secret Service on the southern roof are the ones that killed Thomas Crooks and ended the whole thing. And it's just absolute miracle that Trump lived. He just happened to have his head turned at the time. It would have blown out the back of his head had he not done that. And we have all kinds of different videos of Thomas Crooks. We have him, you see him in a video that I just put out the other day from a Butler County Command Center official who walks out, and you can see him in the background, just his head. Yeah, you see the different shooters moving around. You guys, if you haven't seen that one, you should check out that video. And I've also, figured out exactly where Thomas Crooks was in a new video that was released. So he's walking here. I'd like to know in the comments, why do you think at that point he doesn't have a backpack or anything with him? Where is the backpack right at that moment? And where is he coming from? Why is he over here? Is this where he parked his car? Because this is the parking place over here. This is where everybody was parking their cars. Maybe even parked over here on a different street. But he's walking this way without that. Obviously, he's not scouting out the shooting or anything like that. He's coming back into the area, and this is, if the time is correct, at, I think it was 4:26 p.m., this is only 26 minutes or so after he was flying the drone around. So did he just get done dropping off the drone to his vehicle, and now he's heading back into the area? That's something that's interesting. I'd like to see what you guys think in the comments section. All right? So I think that's about it for the update. I'm glad that there's actually things being done and people are being held account. I'm not really a big fan of the new Secret Service head guy. He seems just as political and crappy as the rest. But I'm glad to see some accountability being taken place. But I don't want anybody taking the blame as a scapegoat. I want the real people behind what the hell was going on held account. Okay? So anyways, thank you all very much for watching the video. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And again, as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.